Robnoxious, welcome to Z Show. Can you hear
What's
me?
up, Z? Yes, I can. What up, Z?
Hey, what's going on?
Not much.
What's like with your icon of like the demon and the Robnoxious name? Like, what's your whole thing? What are you going for, man?
I'm actually a pseudo investigator. I go around to lots of different pseudo sites. Basically, I like to talk to flat earthers a lot, and I like to talk to people like the Hebrew Israelites and people like the Aboriginal Americans. And
Right. So you troll people,
well, I mean, that's not what I like to call it. I mean, I'm
right?
not really trolling. Trolling means that I'm actually have no really intent or goal. You know, what I'm saying I think of myself higher than that.
Right.
I'm
So
not
are you
here
going
to
to
talk.
make me again have another globe conversation? It appears to be that's what my show's turned into lately. I don't know where you're all coming from, but I mean, are you really do you really want to embarrass yourself tonight, Rob? Maybe you should just back off.
Oh, I never get embarrassed. I mean,
Well,
nobody
maybe
knows.
because you're shameless. Maybe you have
The
no
proof is in
shame
the
and
pudding.
you're incapable of embarrassment.
Well, that could be possible, but the burden of proof is on you, Prince. The burden of proof is not
What's
on the
your
globe.
deal, man? Like, what are you about besides trolling? Like, what do you do in your life and stuff?
Not much.
Not much.
Much.
That's your answer.
No.
I ask you about your. You only have one life to live, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe reincarnation's a thing, but when I say, "What do you do with your life?" and your answer's not much, that kind of makes me feel a little bit bad
Help
for you,
people.
dude.
Yeah, how about this? I help people.
You do. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good. It's a good way to live your life.
yeah. I help people every day. My
That's
goal is to
great.
wake people. My goal is to wake people up the way we were supposed to be woken up before our shit got hijacked and taken over and was deemed to be crazy by people who think the shape of the earth is flat. That's what happened. It's a psyop.
Really,
It was meant to
this
take
is
it was meant to take the attention away from the conspiracy people and make them look absolutely insane, so they never have any credibility left. Whereas
right.
real
So you're
conspiracy
basically just giving me like the oldest trope in the book that I've heard a million times is that I've just
oh
fallen
no,
for a psyop. Hold on. I'm not. Am I interrupting you, Rob? No, I'm not. Right. So again, you just gave me the oldest trope that I have heard since I've came on here is that I'm falling for a psyop to make all the real truthers like you look bad, and now you're on some jihad crusade to make sure that people like me, you know, look stupid, and you're just letting the word out, and you're going to say, okay, you love your globe, and it was always a globe, and God made a globe. So there's a God, and He created the world, but He created like a big, huge universe and the world, and we're just like a little speck in it, right? Is that what you're going to tell me?
I believe in a creator. I don't believe in like any god. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right. So
I,
the creator did what? He created like infinite galaxies that are endless and ever expanding. And how did he do that again?
I don't pretend to know what a creator thinks or knows.
Right. I mean, I'm just asking, is it possible that the creator like created the world for us, like with purpose and meaning, and that we're special and we hold a special place in creation? Is that possible? Or do we just have to be like an insignificant speck of dust existing in an infinite nothingness?
That's only possible if there was no other planets or stars in the universe, but we know that there's a countless, endless number. So
Yeah. How do we know that?
because
You said
because we
other planets. You said other planets. What makes you think Earth is a
absolutely,
planet? Somebody told you that. Do you have any proof of that?
yeah, yep.
Yeah. What is it? What's your
You're not
proof?
gonna like you're not gonna like the proof.
Go ahead. Well, you could at least present it here. I don't have to like it. I'll give you a shot.
People went people went up in space and seen it. Human
So that's the
beings.
proof. So
Yep.
somebody told you, so something that you can't verify, you can't replicate, you can't do yourself, and something that its very existence and its presupposition of endless space actually violates all known laws of physics. A governmental agency went into a place that can't exist because it's a physical impossibility, and then told you it exists, and then you believe it. That's interesting.
Well, humans only know as much as they know. So the whole thing about the physics thing is really nonsensical because the bottom line is there could be physics that we haven't figured out yet and discovered yet. So to say that the whole
Well, there
physics
can be, but how would you know they exist? Okay, let's talk about
exactly.
physics. So let's talk about physics then. You keep bringing it up, so let's go there. So let's talk about physics. How about the physics of water? You want to talk there?
Yeah, let me guess. You think water finds its level, right?
It's not something I think. I know demonstrably that large bodies of water, when at rest, find their level. Now, you could present to me a raindrop, a bubble, and surface tension and try to say that somehow contraindicates what I say, but it doesn't, because oceans are demonstrably level and horizontal.
Water finds its lowest point, not its level.
When at rest, water finds its level. It's actually how we define level. You can't just redefine level.
No, because if we defined level with water, there wouldn't be an air bubble in the level. It would just be water.
I didn't say air bubble. Do you know what a spirit level is?
Yes, I know what a level is. I know what spirit level is. I was saying here we use a hand level. If
Are
we
you
just
gonna?
use water to determine
Are
level,
you
you
gonna
wouldn't.
give me anything interesting or what?
Well, that's
So your argument for the globe was space. People went to space. That's your argument.
well, no, that's just the easiest one. I mean, that's the.
All
I mean,
right. So let's say, but before space,
but it's kind of like,
before
but it's kind of
people.
like DNA with the Aboriginals. Like, even though I
Yeah.
say take a DNA, I say take a
All
DNA
right.
test.
So now you're going to do a false equivalency with the Aboriginals against flat earthers as if it's the same thing. We're talking about science,
but your
dude.
mentality, your mentalities
We're
are
talking. We're
same way
talking
those
about
guys won't take a
science, not
DNA test and prove
history.
they're African. Is the same way you guys
All
won't
right. This is the way
believe
you
the
think.
facts.
The facts, right? So when I say demonstrably that oceans lie level and horizontal, that's the facts. And you tell me people told you because they went to space, and I'm supposed to accept that as a valid argument. And then what you do is you basically apply a false equivalency with me and the Aboriginal people. You're not off to a great start, but let's try again, okay? Besides space, because apparently, we only put rockets up in space like in the mid 50s. You know that, right? But they thought it was a globe like before that. They were writing about it. So before they were able to put the rockets in space, how would you prove it's a globe? Because they obviously knew it. Everybody just knew it who had any degree of intelligence, right? According to you. So before the rockets and people floating in impossible space, how did they prove, the globe?
Measured it.
They measured the globe. Yeah,
Yeah.
what they do, they got a big string and they measured it, and the string. How did they measure it, Rob?
Well, there's other ways to measure things besides strings, man.
Right. Well, I'm asking you how they measured this globe.
Well, the first time it was measured was Eratosthenes, 2,000 years
Yeah,
ago.
and he measured it. How did he measure it? How did Eratosthenes measure the globe?
He used two specific points that were far apart, and he measured the angle of the sun at the same time in the same day.
Now he measured the angle of the shadow.
Well, the angle of
that
the
was
shadow,
cast from the sun.
Yeah, one hole was in a well, one was in a well, another one was an obelisk. Okay, so they were the both obelisks. One was in a well,
and so the shadow angles were different at different places in different geography, right? So they were at some distance apart from each other, maybe some 100 miles, maybe 4, maybe 500, and the angles were different. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
All right. Let me ask you something. First of all, that's not measuring the Earth, okay? That's measuring the angles of shadow. You realize that, right? That's not measuring the Earth.
There's a way to get to the measurement of the Earth through that.
There is, but there's a huge presumption there. You have to presume one of the variables. Do you care to try to guess what variable that is?
It doesn't matter if you presume it, because when the mathematical equations
work, you're not going to. Hold on, you're giving me really. What are you presuming?
Because listen, Z, if I presume that the Earth is flat, it wouldn't make a difference.
Rob, I'm asking you, in the demonstration that you just brought up of Eratosthenes and the sticks and shadows, what is being presumed? What factor or variable are they assuming in that equation? Do you know? Rob, are you there?
What do you mean? What variable? I don't understand what your question
Okay, so what variables involved? So you're talking about a demonstration that supposedly a Greek did thousands of years ago with sticks and shadows that you're telling me is quote unquote measuring the Earth. Now we're talking about that specific demonstration. Well, let's discuss what variables are involved in this. One of them is the stick, the well, right? That's a variable, right? Can you agree on that? That they're variables in this whole, let's call it an experiment.
They're the same size sticks.
All right. So the sticks are there, right? And then the shadow, right? So because that's involved because we're measuring the angle of the shadow. But what's the one big variable that we haven't talked about yet? The big factor, Rob.
What is
Do you
it? The
know?
shape of the earth. The shape of the earth.
No, you're wouldn't it be the light source?
What about it?
It'd be the sun, right?
Yeah. What
Okay.
about it?
So let me ask you, when I say if you're assuming the variable and that variable is the sun, what would the assumption be?
I don't know.
You don't know, right? But yet you're going to claim that Eratosthenes measured, quote, the globe at six in shadows. I'm going to give you the answer so you don't have to Google it.
Yeah.
One is assuming the distance of the sun, Rob. You understand that, right? You're
What is it?
assuming one is assuming the distance of the sun. You're assuming parallel sun rays from an impossibly distant sun. You get it, right? Let me ask you something, Rob. I want you to go on your kitchen table, and I want you to get two lighters because I know you have two lighters. You definitely. I want you to put one lighter on one side of the table and one lighter on the far other end of the table. And I want you to turn the lights out, and I want you to get a flashlight. Okay. All right. Or don't turn the lights out. Just turn the lights down a little bit, but get the flashlight out. And I want you to hold the flashlight up and hit it with certain angles. And guess what? You're going to see two different angles. Here's my point, Rob.
No shit. That's not the fucking question,
Right.
dude.
No, yeah, because you're just not smart enough to understand what I'm saying.
No, I just
You're
listen to you.
no,
I like listening to you.
you're
Blabber, dude.
just a dummy. You're
Yeah, I
assuming a
know. I
distant
know.
sun. Do you understand? You're assuming a distant sun in parallel rays because a local
No, it
sun.
proves the distance, son.
No, you're
The
wrong
bottom
because
line is, first of all, if I put two letters on
no,
a table,
because you
I
don't
have
know
to
how
dig
to
a hole
think.
for one and put
It
the one in
doesn't
the
prove
hole.
it. No, because if it proves a distant sun, then you can't prove the convexity of the Earth. You're assuming the sun. My point is, you're
You're
assuming a
not assuming
variable that
anything. You're
can't be
measuring it.
provable. Rob, if the sun was closer, let's take a thought experiment. If the sun was closer and smaller and the Earth was flat, don't you think you'd get two different angles also? It's the same result, dummy. You don't prove anything because you're assuming the
It
sun.
has nothing to do with getting two different angles.
Rob, you're just
It's
not
what the
smart
number.
enough to understand what I'm
No,
saying.
you
And
are. It's
that's
the
why I'm
opposite. You're
tired of talking
projecting.
to people like you.
You're
Rob,
projecting.
Rob, if you had a flat table and you projected a spotlight on two mini obelisks on your table, I don't care what it is, I said lighters, you would see different angles, right? But the table's flat. So you would have two different angles on a flat table, just like you would have two different angles on a flat Earth. It has to
Okay.
do with the distance of the
Let's
sun.
separate.
You're
Okay,
just
you
not
gotta
smart enough
separate
to
those.
understand
You
what I'm
gotta
saying.
separate those by 20% of the circumference of the
You're
planet, which is
just not
so you
smart
don't know what
enough
you're
to
talking about.
understand what
Yes,
I'm
I am.
saying,
Now you're
idiot.
over talking. You're trying to over talk me
Rob,
because
Rob, you
I'm gonna
didn't
tell you
even
the truth.
understand. Rob, you didn't.
I
You're over
do
talking me.
understand. I'm letting you
Rob,
talk
you
because you're
didn't
defending
understand.
yourself.
Rob,
You
you
don't know
didn't understand.
anything, dude.
Rob, I had to tell you the distances with the experiment. I had to tell you
You don't
that
have to tell me
Aristophanes.
anything. I'm just letting you talk
Rob,
because it's funny.
Rob, I had to tell you that it was 400 miles away. I'm the one who had to tell you that. You're
You didn't
assuming
say
the distance of the
nothing,
sun.
dude. You're
So you're
trying.
gonna have to talk over me. I'm gonna have to shelf you because you can't control yourself. See, this is what happens when they get embarrassed. Because he doesn't understand that I just destroyed his argument. He has no understanding of it because he's so in love with his fundamentalist religious belief in pseudoscience. Rob, you're a clown, Rob. I'm actually getting tired of clowning on idiots like you each and every night. It's actually getting boring for me. You're a goofball. When I tell you it proves nothing because you're assuming a distant sun with parallel rays, you don't even understand what I'm saying. And then when I tell you to set it up in your house using a spotlight, you'll see the same divergent shadow angles with the flat table. Fucking goofball, man. I'm kind of bored of you already because you've already shown yourself to be disingenuous and unintelligent. So I don't even really want to proceed with this conversation. Rob, are you
Oh, I'm
there?
sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm back now. I'm
Right.
sorry. I didn't know I was
Okay.
back there.
All right. So did you go ahead, Rob? I'm going to ask you some questions and try to answer them.
Well, can I
Did
just
you
get over
under,
before we start
did
the
you
new ones?
hold?
Can I answer the last one?
Okay, go ahead. Put your statement
I
in,
just
Rob.
want to say, take those lighters on your table, make your table 500 miles long, and put them each on the table and take your measurements. That's what I'm saying. You're oversimplifying something.
No, I'm not, Rob. I'm trying to prove
No,
you're oversimplifying it. I'm proving a
I'm
point
not.
to you. I'm proving a point is that just because sticks at a distance show different shadow angles doesn't prove a convex Earth.
Absolutely does.
Because a local light source will give you. See,
Can
you
I
just don't
explain to you?
understand. Do
Can
you
I
want to go to
explain?
the? There's nothing to explain to me because you're just wrong, and everybody knows it, dude. I didn't just prove the Earth is flat. I just proved that your example is debunked. So
No,
if you want to go to the,
no,
if you want to go to the next
no, you're
proof,
misrepresenting my answer though.
Rob.
I
No,
can't
I'm
get in.
not. Rob, you're
I
giving
can't
me a
get
very
in.
old trope that's already been debunked, Rob.
No, the
Would you
bottom
like to
line
move?
though is
Would you like to move on to the next proof that you have of the globe after I just debunked that one thoroughly, please?
I'll I'll do whatever you want to do. I'd like to make a
Right.
point though. You keep misrepresenting my point. I can't get into to set it straight, and it's just devolving into like just nothing. I did not say that. The bottom line is that the one obelisk that he buried in the well was at the fucking latitude where the sun is directly over the head at high noon. Okay, so it's so much more than just a light on a table with two lighters. So the bottom line is
Okay.
the obelisk it was in the well with the light directly above it. Okay, and the other
I
measurement was
know, Rob.
so they're not anywhere near the same correlation between the two.
Yes, Rob, because you're not thinking, Rob.
I'm
You're
not
not
thinking.
thinking because, like you said, the sun was directly overhead. You just assume the sun is 93 million miles away. What if the sun was just directly over your
Eratosthenes had
head?
nothing to do with the sun being 93 million miles away.
Oh
You
my
keep saying that.
God.
It had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to
Because
do with it
it
at all.
assumes parallel rays. You're
No, it
fucking
didn't. They didn't even know how fucking far the sun was then.
right. That's the point. They assumed it was far because a close sun
They
on a
didn't, you
flat
don't
earth.
have to assume it. The
Rob,
measurements tell you it
Rob,
is.
Rob, a close, I'm going to just give it to you. Ready? Here's the answer. A close local sun on a flat earth would give you the same angles. Do you understand? Yeah, there he goes. Runs away because he's a fucking moron. Yeah, I see you back there. Hold on. I see you waving. Audience, am I just going to have to do this night after night? Just embarrass and slay these people continuously? Because here's what a person who has integrity and honesty would do. They would think about what I said, and then if they had the intelligence enough to understand, they would concede the point and move on. And they would say, "Oh, I never thought about that, Z. You're right. It doesn't prove a flat or a convex Earth. Let me move on to the next one." But no, because you come up with such arrogance and hubris that you can't possibly understand how the flat earther could be so much superior to you, not only in intelligence, but in intellectual honesty. It's embarrassing to all you. You have to understand that. You just each embarrass yourself one by one.